Okay, so hopefully this is all going to go in. Right, so we are looking at how does Shakespeare use language to present the witches in Act 1, Scene 1. Now what you will get is you will get a copy of the text that we're dealing with. So in front of you, either from the copy of the play or from the extract that I've printed off for you that we worked on earlier in the week, you need to have a copy of Act 1, Scene 1 in front of you. So can you make sure you have that ready with you now? Okay, so you can either have it from the book, the copy of the play that I've just given you, or from the sheet. It was the one with the arrow. Yep. So those of you who were with me, I think it was Wednesday we looked at it, so some of you weren't here because you did the maths exam. Okay, so it's the one with the arrow. Yep, doesn't really matter which sheet you have, as long as you've got it in front of you. Okay? So let's go through these what, how, whys and make sure that we remember exactly what we're dealing with. The question says, how does Shakespeare use language to present the witches in Act 1, Scene 1? Looking at the question then, let's start off from the beginning. What do the words in the question mean? How does Shakespeare... Okay, what is the question actually about? Tom?
The witches in Act 1, Scene 1.
No, not about the witches in Act 1, Scene 1. Owen? It's about Shakespeare. Okay, so it's not about how do the witches in Act 1, Scene 1, blah, 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 blah. It's how does Shakespeare do it? Okay, so the question is about Shakespeare. So your answer has got to be directed at him. Yeah? And that is something that the fifth form in their mocks are coming unstuck with, because they look at the question and go, yeah, Shakespeare language, yeah. Witches, Act 1, Scene 1, go. They're not actually looking at the question. The question is asking you to try and unpick the choices Shakespeare was making in his presentation of these witches. Yeah? So in your copies, let's annotate. That, okay, is who we need to be writing about. Yeah? So you've written the question out? Yeah, we're annotating the question. So you've already written out the question?
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's annotate that. Okay?
annotating the title.
Okay. Then we're looking at how he's using language. Yeah? These are his tools. Exactly the same as Priestley did, exactly the same as George Gaia, exactly the same as Aaron Ralston. Okay? As a writer, we have tools and the words of those. Yep. Okay? So these ones here, how does he use language? These are his tools. Yep. And then this is his ultimate purpose. This is his goal. This is his finished product, is the presentation of the witches. Okay? So the presentation of the witches, how does he present the witches? That's going to be the finished article. The goal, the thing he wants us to find, his final thing. Okay? But what we're not doing is we're not looking at the final picture. We're looking up at the lead up to that final picture and the ways that final picture has been created. Does that make sense? Yeah? And we're going to do that by looking at the opening of the play. Kieran, can you pass me that copy behind you? Thank you. Well?
Would this at the end of the annotation?
Okay, so here, the finished article. It's the thing we're going to unpick. And that's really the process of your answer. It's your investigation into the choices that he's making. Okay? So we could use this one here. So this is the example that we've had from the board. Okay, Alfred looking. So this is the one that you've done the screenshot from. The witches first meet at the beginning of the play, and Shakespeare tells us that there is thunder, lightning and rain in the opening stage directions. Okay? From that opening sentence, do we have choices? Is there evidence that Shakespeare's made choices and we know what those choices are? Let's have a look at it. The witches first meet at the beginning of the play, and Shakespeare tells us that there is thunder, lightning and rain in the opening stage directions. what has Shakespeare chosen to do based on that opening sentence? Owen?
Well, he's made them the first thing that you see.
Brilliant. He's made them the first thing. Okay? So that's one choice. Okay? That's using language, but language is also structure, the order of the words, the order of the information that we have. Okay? So thinking about the part of those what order has he shown us this? Okay? So that one there, the beginning of the play. Let's put a box around that. Then what do we have? Another bit of evidence of his choice. The witches first meet at the beginning of the play. And Shakespeare tells us that there is thunder, lightning and rain in the opening stage directions. Go on.
Well, thunder and lightning, because he's kind of made it to be really quite dark and
Lovely.
secretive.
That's another choice. Good. So Shakespeare has chosen to plop these witches somewhere. And he's chosen, you know what, I'm going to make the weather, I'm going to put in some thunder. Oh, and when you have thunder, you always have lightning. Okay? I'm not going to put rain in just yet. I'm going to bank that for a bit later. Okay? But he's thinking, now, that's because I want to create this. I want to create this particular effect, which we're going to come to in a minute. How has he done that? What indicator do we know in terms of the actual dramatic aspect? We've got a play script in front of us. Where has he told us that this is the setting? Where has he told us that this is the weather? Okay, and here, the opening stage directions. Yeah? So we've got quite a few things going on in this opening sentence. So the first thing that we have, this one here, is we've got structure. Okay? And that is the indicator of where in the play is this occurring. Is it at the beginning of the play? Is it at the end of the scene? Is it in the middle of the play? Is it once the play's already finished and everyone's gone home? Is it before the play even opened and this is a back story? Okay? So the structure is where in the plot events is this occurring? So we need to think about that. We then need to obviously have our evidence, okay, which comes down to here. And the evidence is really important because if you've got the text in front of you, you need to use it. And again, that's something that when you're in an exam, you kind of forget. It's all very stressful. Your mind goes blank and you forget that you've actually got it right in front of you, so use it. So I need to be able to see all the time you actually picking words out from the extract, which you will be given, like we've got now, and then using that in your writing as we have there. Then we have a little bit here. Now this is interesting because this is to do with theatre. Okay? We are not dealing with a poem. We are not dealing with a novel. We're dealing with drama. And when you deal with drama, you have to understand some of the dramatic terminology, so the language of drama, okay? Stage directions are specific drama terminology. Now, the exam board would like to see you using language of the text. Nothing massive, nothing super complicated, but the stuff that we'll be able to identify. So, for example, character, scene, entrance, exit, stage directions. What else? Playwright. That's the bloke who wrote the play. Okay. Audience. Stage. Okay. And then we can get a little bit fancy. We can talk about things like proxemics, which is who is standing where. We have something called an aside, which is a bit of a whispered thing. We have things like monologues, soliloquies, but those are terms that we will come to as and when we need to, okay? But as a term, This is one that we need to be able to use. Yeah, so it's theatre terms. Okay, so it's drama device. That we need to be able to use, and we need to be able to use comfortably. Does that make sense so far? Okay, super. So let's have a go at continuing the question. I'm going to change colour to green. So, the witches first meet at the beginning of the play, and Shakespeare tells us that there is thunder, lightning and rain in the opening stage directions. This implies that. What are we going to say? What does it imply? Thunder, lightning and rain. This implies that. Will?
It's like dark and there's a storm.
Yeah, there's a storm brewing. Is it just a storm in the sky, or is it more? Is it symbolic as well?
Oh yeah, it's symbolic.
Okay. So we can do 2 levels here, can't we? Good. So let's start down here. Okay. So what I write down, as we know, you need to jot down too, so we can make sure that we've all got the same stuff. Yeah, of course you can. Okay. So this implies. That. Tell me again what it was, Will?
There's like bad stuff going to happen, like a storm.
Okay, this implies that the atmosphere is dark and that bad things are going to occur. Okay. Shakespeare could also be using the dramatic weather now. I think we can put a term in here. Do you know what the... Go on.
Pathetic fallacy.
Nice. Pathetic fallacy. Okay, so we're going to write it and then I'll explain what it is. Shakespeare could also be using the dramatic weather as pathetic fallacy to symbolize, what did we say about the weather? What could it also symbolize? It could symbolize... Owen? The fear... Yeah, the fear of the people, or the fear in Scotland that's yet to come.
Yes.
Do we like that?
Yes.
Nice, we do. Could to symbolise the fear in the play.
Yes.
Even better. Oh, Holly, the fear in the play that is yet to come. Fabulous. So with a different colour, we need to annotate this. Go on.
What is the word saying for the dramatic?
This one.
Just for
Using. Okay. Right. We've got the word imply. Okay. Imply is another word for suggest. If you have a look at the board behind you, can you see where it says instead of shows, we've got portrays, illustrates, implies, which we've used, depict, insinuate, evoke, create, explore, persuade, highlight, convey, or reveal. Okay, and you could also say infer. So those words there are really, really important for you to be able to sprinkle throughout your response. They all mean the same thing, but it stops you from saying it shows, it shows, it shows, which, to be perfectly honest, is not only really boring to write constantly, but it's a bit dull to read. Okay? Portrays is a good word. So let's have a look. This implies good. Interpretation, thought. We get what we're doing, okay? We're thinking about the choices Macbeth is making. We don't really know. He's been dead for 400 years. We can't ask him, but we can kind of work out that the atmosphere is dark and that bad things are going to occur. Brilliant. That is analysis. That's the why part of our questions, okay? So looking at the screenshot that I sent you, look at that why question, okay? So this is why your iPads need to be there as well. Look at the why question. Why has he done it? Well, he's done it because he wants to predict further. And then we've got a little bit further here. Symbolise a fear that's yet to come. We've got a couple of whys floating around here. Absolutely brilliant, okay? So in a different colour, I'm going to highlight the why. We've already got the what and the how further up. Okay, this is why. Yeah? Now, we said earlier that this question is about Shakespeare. So we need to name him. We need to acknowledge that he is the chap that has made all these decisions. He decided to do this, so we have to put him in. We need to name him. We also need to make sure that we name him correctly in terms of spelling his name. We actually have on record, we have 7 signatures of Shakespeare when he was writing, and every single one is wrong. Well, it's different, okay? This particular spelling is the one that he used most often. So that's the one that we go with. You need to spell it that way. Any other spelling, I will say is incorrect. Okay, we need to go with the majority here. So Shakespeare could, but we don't really know. So a little bit tentative, a little bit sort of on the fence, but that's okay because we're weighing up alternatives. He could also be using the dramatic weather. Okay. Now here we're not just saying the weather. We're saying the dramatic weather. So this is an interpretation. This is us coming into the text, having an opinion as pathetic fallacy. Now I'm going to put that in red because that is awesome. Okay. So pathetic fallacy is a term which brings us to the tool he's using. Yeah. So this is an additional how. We've got stage directions already. We've now got pathetic fallacy. What do you understand about pathetic fallacy? Will?
Doesn't it mean stuff like the weather explaining
Yeah.
what's going to happen?
Exactly that. The use of the weather to demonstrate or to represent emotions or feelings or ideas. Okay? So if someone has a sunny disposition, what type of person is she? She or he or it? They.
Quite happy.
Quite happy. So we're using the brightness, the warmth of the sun to represent somebody's particular personality. If they look as if their face is as long as next week, what does that tell us? Have you heard that phrase before?
No.
Yes, some of you have. If your face is as long as next week, what might that imply about how you either look or feel? Gabriel?
Would you look like really old? Does that mean that?
Kind of like really long, droopy face, or simply very old. Okay, well?
Cloudy.
Yeah, cloudy. Oh, are you wandering around in a thunderstorm, or you look as if you've got a cloud? You're walking underneath a cloud. Okay, so the weather's really, really useful. When it's windy, okay, it's brilliant to go outside and wind because it kind of just juices you up a bit. Okay. However, children generally go mad in the wind, as do dogs. Okay. The rain is very depressing, so people feel through the weather. So pathetic fallacy is really good. Here, symbolise. For us, brilliant term. Okay? Symbolise, imply, really, really useful terms for us to be able to use. So I'm going to put a circle around symbolise and implies. Not if you don't want to. You can if you want. Okay? And then we've got another bit of a why. So this is even further whys. So if you can see there, we've got the how that's been caught up in the why. So actually we're adding extra stuff. So we've done our what, how, why sort of twice. But actually in in quite a small section, which is perfect. So when you write this kind of answer, you are going to be timed, okay? So you don't have the huge amount of time to just waffle and overwrite. The way you need it needs to be really quite tight, and as tight as we can manage without limiting what you want to say.
If we ask just on all three,
How cool is that?
I don't know.
It's tick, tick and tick.
Two.
But at the moment, that's just talking about thunder and lightning. That's not talking about anything else. Yeah?
I thought we'd done.
No, no. So we're going to come into another one.
Do we need to like do poetry at RGCC?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yep, that's coming after half term. Right, so let's have a look. Thank you, Dougie. Right, let's have a look at something else that we can say. So let's go back into it. Let's give me another idea. How does he use his words and the way he uses his words, or the techniques that he uses in this opening scene to show us the witches? So let's deal with it. What does he want us to know or feel about the witches or think about the witches? What does he want from us, Gabriel?
He wants us to be scared of witches.
Brilliant. Let's do that one. Okay, so Shakespeare now. How is he telling? What is he picking up on with the fear? What's the word?
Zeitgeist.
Nice. Okay, and what is the zeitgeist?
It's, the Elizabethan times.
Mood
where-
of
The
the time.
mood of the time in Elizabethan time. Good. So let's kind of shift this around. Shakespeare picks up on the Elizabethan zeitgeist,
I swear it's not Elizabethan time.
Jacobean, because James is on the throne.
Why is it Jack?
That's just the way we say it. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. We don't say that. Okay, so we say, this is how we say the time that James is on the throne is called Jacobean. Don't ask why, I don't know, but that's what it is. It's not Jacobean
Why?
because it's wrong. It's Jacobean, okay? Or Jacobine. And that also may be spelled wrong. I-A-N?
Jacobin.
Maybe I-A-N, actually. Oh, anyway, Shakespeare picks up on the Jacobean zeitgeist. How do you spell zeitgeist?
Z.
Don't guess, look it up. Z-E-I,
Mate, what express would that
zeitgeist. Oh, E-I-T, sorry. Yeah, Z-E-I-T-G-E-I-S-T. The Jacobean zeitgeist of what was the mood of the time? What was the mood of the time?
Witches are assumed, where witches are assumed as like evil,
Okay.
agents of the devil.
Angels of the Devil. So Shakespeare picks up on the Jacobean zeitgeist of
The fear of witches.
the fear of witches.
Supernatural.
The fear, hang on, of the influence of the supernatural.
Yes. How do you spell the zeitgeist?
Z-E-I-T
G-E-I-S?
G-E-I-S-T. Okay. Shakespeare picks up on the Jacobean zeitgeist of the fear of the influence of the supernatural. Okay. Now, who are the witches going to influence? What evidence do you have for me that proves that they're going to influence a pretty important character in this play? Don't guess, it is right in front of you. Kieran. Not quite. Who are they going to influence?
Macbeth.
Yes. Why is that not a bad thing? No, why is that a bad thing? It's a really bad thing.
The main character associated with witches.
Yeah, there's nothing good that's going to come from that, is there? So Shakespeare picks up on the Jacobean zeitgeist of the fear of the influence of the supernatural by By what? By having the witches, by
Portraying. No.
implying, no, we've done implying, by exploring
Yes.
the possibility that Macbeth is influenced. Crikey. By exploring or suggesting?
Exploring, so I've already started writing.
Has he explored it yet? No, because sometimes we need to understand that we know that's not quite right, we cross it out and then we do it. So the process of making an error is really important. So I'm going to cross it out. No, because it's important we understand the process. By suggesting that Macbeth will be affected by these three witches.
That's not with an E.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do we need to put in a quote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tom?
I don't know, but I was just gonna say where it says like by these three witches. If we wrote the number 3, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Shakespeare picks up on the Jacobean zeitgeist of the fear of the influence of the supernatural by suggesting that Macbeth will be affected by these three witches.
We didn't take down your swag mark.
No.
Oh, it's quite a big scar.
No.
Be like, there, will be there to meet with Macbeth.
That's the quote, but how are we going to put it in?
Shakespeare implies. Shakespeare stage directs the witches to.
Shall we say they agreed to meet with Macbeth on when they are going to meet again? So when they meet again, it's going to be with Macbeth. So they're planning ahead, they're seeing the future. Are they seeing the future?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's put that in.
But they don't. It's not with Macbeth because there's three witches and it says, "When shall we three meet again?"
Yeah, so when shall we three meet again? Three witches. And where we're going to meet? Well, we're going to meet on the heath, and we're going to meet there with Macbeth. So
Oh.
he's going to be there as well. Okay.
Right, is that
Their ability to see into the future to, insert quote, meet with Macbeth. Makes the audience how does it make us feel? Go on.
It makes the audience feel very uncomfortable.
Good. Keep going.
And that, how do I explain it? And they feel that they would be possibly possessed, not possessed by demons.
So their ability to see into the future to meet with Macbeth makes the audience feel very uncomfortable because our main character is
Would he be like that kind of getting possessed?
could be a
by
servant of the devil. Yeah? Okay. Because may be a servant of the devil. Okay. Very quickly, let's go through the annotations. We have got. We've actually got something else in here. We've got context. The context is the stuff that we know around the play. The stuff that we know around Shakespeare, okay? And it's this one here. Now, context is a bit dangerous because you could fall into the trap of giving me a potted history. Shakespeare in 1606 wrote the play Macbeth. In 1605, on the 5th of November, blah, 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 blah. We don't need any of that. So we only use context. We only demonstrate our understanding of the time if it is going to help us answer the question. So it is irrelevant at the moment in this paragraph with this answer so far to talk about the fact that King James had an assassination attempt made against him. It is irrelevant, okay, to talk about the fact that women's entire purpose in life was to have babies for their husbands because it doesn't fit with our answer. So we only use the stuff that we can use in order to make it work and to give ourselves the advantage. Okay, so the context needs to be used as seasoning. Yeah, so when you have fish and chips, it's Friday, okay, you season it with salt, but you don't do it too much because then it becomes inedible. Agreed?
Last week you spent it too much salt.
Okay.